Page 289. Word by word. Jnanena tu tat ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam
Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashita atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashyati tatparam
Jnanatu tada jnananam Isamanasitam atmanaham Pesamavitya jnanam Prakasati tatparam
Jnanena tu tat ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam
Jnanam tu tadananam yasam nasatam atmanan tesam adityava yanam prakasayati tatparam
Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam
Jnanena tu tadagyanam
Jnanena tu tadagyanam
Yesham nashitamatmana
Nashitamatmana
Tesham aditya vajnanam
Shamaditya vajnanam
Prakashayati tatparam.
Prajayati tatparam.
Jnanena tu tad ajnanam
Jnanena tu tadagyanam
Esam nasitam atmanah Tesam aditya vajnanam Prakasyayati tatparam.
Word by word meanings. Jnanena, by knowledge. Tu, but. Tat, that. Ajnanam, nations. Yesham, of those. Nashitam, is destroyed. Atmanaha, of the living entity. Tesham, of their. Adityavat, like the rising sun. Jnanam, knowledge. Prakashayati, discloses. Tatparam, in Krishna consciousness. Translation. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Purport. Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered, but those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvam Jnana Plavena Jnanagnihi Sarva Karmani and Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna. As is said in the 7th chapter, 19th verse, Bahunam Janma Namante Gnanavan Mam Prapadyate. After passing through many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him, as the sun reveals everything in the daytime. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he thinks himself God, unceremoniously, he actually falls into the last snare of nescience. If a living entity is God, then how can he become bewildered by nescience? Does God become bewildered by nescience? If so, then nescience or Satan is greater than God. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is in perfect Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master and under him learn what Krishna consciousness is. The spiritual master can drive away all nescience as the sun drives away darkness. Even though a person may be in full knowledge that he is not this body but is transcendental to the body, he still may not be able to discriminate between the soul and the super soul. However, he can know everything well if he cares to take shelter of the perfect, bona fide, Krishna conscious spiritual master. One can know God and one's relationship with God only when one actually meets a representative of God. A representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all the respect ordinarily paid to God because he has knowledge of God.
The representative, this can go down slightly, please. The representative has so much potency because he's equipped with transcendental knowledge, and he's acting on it. He's displaying what it's like to be situated in the transcendental position. So we can immediately identify this person is what he's speaking, and we can perceive that he's realizing it. It's not just theoretical knowledge, he's realized it. And besides that, because he's acting in accord with the Supreme Will, he's empowered to instill that realization in others. It's not just picking up slogans. It's not that one can just learn. If someone on the street happens to have memorized a slogan and repeats it, it won't have the same potency as if it's presented by someone who's realized it and is acting in that capacity. It will be empowered. Why? Because he has the power of attorney. He can pass on the mercy and the realization from Krishna. Just like if someone is an authorized user of a particular program, computer program, so he has the information necessary, the credentials, to enter into all the mysteries of that program. He can access all aspects of it. Whereas someone who doesn't have such qualifications, credentials, he can only look at the front page and it says, this is the program, but he can't enter into it. Or another example is a person who's not connected through yoga is like a person who's trying to taste the honey when it's in the jar and he tries licking the outside of the jar. He won't taste it. He doesn't have the opportunity to enter into the taste of the real honey. So he's just getting superficial. So theoretical knowledge is good, but it has to be realized knowledge. Then it becomes charged with transcendental realization from Krishna. And Krishna says, or Krishna is able to give one transcendental knowledge. He's the powerhouse, so to speak. He has all knowledge and he has all power. So he can instill that in whomever he likes. And out of his kindness, he doesn't take all the pleasure of doing that himself. He bestows that activity upon his sincere followers. They also become gurus, as he's the original guru, teacher. If one is a good student, then he becomes a guru also. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that he wants Charidake Tarikaha Krishna Upadesh Amara Gyai Guru Hana Tare Desh. He wants everyone to become guru and teach others who don't know. So it seems that Krishna wants the living entities to get free from the suffering of material existence. He doesn't want them to suffer. Someone may say, what's the suffering? Well, the suffering is birth. To take birth in the material world, we generally celebrate that event with different kinds of festivities. But maybe that's not appropriate in all circumstances, because for most people, birth is the beginning of another chapter of hardships. Birth. Now someone may say, well, when you're young, life is great. It's when you get old that life starts getting troublesome. There's also troubles in youth. There's a lot of crying, a lot of anxiety. And then there's old age, disease, and death. Even if death has not overcome us immediately, the fear of death is always there, and it puts a damper on our enjoyment. So the material world is a place certified by Lord Krishna as being a place of suffering. Tukalayama shashvatam. As long as we think that there's no suffering in this material world, we're in denial. Just turn on the news, look in the, you'll see there's so much, look in the obituary page. Everyone's lamenting the passing of their relatives. There's so many harsh things happening, people losing their homes in fires and earthquakes. Who can say there's no suffering in this world? Why? And the life is a tragedy because at the final stage, everyone dies. It's like if you go see a drama, a play, and the whole thing is so happy and so nice. People are dancing and getting along nice and doing so many poems and singing and interacting wonderfully. And then at the end of the play, everybody's lying dead on the stage. So what will your impression be? Well, it was good until the tragedy of death and they all died. So that's life in the material world. Seems great, playing around, having a good time, and then everybody's lying dead on the stage. So it's a tragedy. What would change it is if there was no death. That would change the tragedy into a happy place. So that's what Krishna is offering. Krishna's offering in the Bhagavad Gita. He's trying to convince us that this place is a place of suffering. You won't be able to overcome it by yourself because it's too powerful. Daivi hiesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. This material energy is very difficult to overcome. Duratyaya means very difficult to overcome it. But if one agrees to follow Krishna, become Krishna's student, like Arjuna, then he can easily cross beyond it. Why? Because Krishna opens the gates. It's like a fly sees the clear window and the blue outside. He can see the blue. And he thinks, that's where I want to be, out in that clear blue sky. And he goes flying into the glass, smash. And he tries again and again and again and again. He can't get out by his own effort. It's not possible. But if someone takes compassion on him and says, open the window, let him out. Then he's free. So we have to make the effort, but we should understand we can't do it by ourselves. It's got to come from the divine to let us free from this entrapment. We're entrapped by birth, death, old age, and disease. And we don't like these things. Nobody likes disease. No one looks forward. I'm going to the doctor Monday, and I hope he finds a nice disease for me. No, I've never heard anyone say that. They say, good luck. Hope there's no diseases. So we don't like disease, we don't like old age. We have so many methods to try to remain young. Different types of cosmetics and medical exercise, different things. But old age comes, and we don't like it. And death comes, and we don't like that. So what to do? What is the solution? Read the translation again of the verse.
When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which Nishins is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
Our problem is because of nescience. That's how we got into this mess. Nescience. We're ignorant. When one is in ignorance, he does things that he shouldn't do. He eats things. Children are in ignorance. So the parents are always worried, oh, what's he putting in his mouth now? They're afraid he's going to put something in his mouth that will cause him to become diseased, or maybe even if it's poison, then he'll die. So they're always watching out. They have to, because he's in so much ignorance. He has no idea what to put in his mouth and what not to put in his mouth. But we're not only do we not know what to put in our mouths, we don't know what to put in our ears, what to put in our eyes, what to put in our minds, what to put in our intelligence, what to put anywhere, what to associate with. So we're in a very precarious position. We need to be taught how to live in this world in such a way that we can prepare ourselves for going back to the spiritual world, which is the real home of the living entity. We need that type of training. And it's possible through Bhakti Yoga. Bhagavad Gita is a treatise on Bhakti Yoga, a topmost yoga system. And it's being explained by the master, the Yogeshwar, the master of all yoga. There's many different types of yoga, as you know. And they're all meant to do what? They're all meant to lead us to Krishna. Any real yogi, whether he's a Jnana yogi, or a Ashtanga yogi, or a Bhakti yogi, he'll know that the goal is the Supreme. Now the Jnana yogi, he thinks the Supreme is the ultimate effulgence, the energy. He doesn't have perfect knowledge. It's knowledge that's better than material knowledge, because at least it's spiritual. He knows that there's supreme energy above the matter, and that's called Brahman. And so his goal is to merge into that. Then the Ashtanga yogi, Hatha yoga, like that, meditation, their goal is the super soul within the heart. But the problem is they have a difficulty distinguishing themselves as a soul from the super soul. So they think they are the super soul, they think they've become God. That's a mistake also. That's not perfect knowledge. And then the bhakti yogi, he understands the effulgence, called the Brahma or the Brahma Jyoti, comes from Bhagavan or Krishna. And he knows that the Supersoul in the heart, the Paramatma of every living being, is also an expansion of Krishna. And most importantly, he knows his own position, that I'm the servant of Krishna. When one realizes that, I'm not independent, I'm not the master, I'm not God, I'm not nothing, I'm not this body, neti, he realizes what he isn't. Some try to do that by the process of elimination, to eliminate all the things that I'm not. That's good, but that takes a long time, because there's a lot of things to eliminate that you're not. But if someone tells you, here's what you are, you're the eternal Nitai Swarup Krishna Das, you're the eternal Krishna servant. Saves a lot of time, thousands of lifetimes of speculation, when I'm not. It's like, if you're trying to open up a big safe and you don't know the combination, you could spend thousands of lifetimes there, spinning the wheel. And you could even write books on what the combination is not. You could become a bestseller. You have the huge multi-volume, 100-volume set of combinations that didn't work. You might make some money from that. But you won't get in. Whereas if someone who has the knowledge tells you, here's the combination, you just follow it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're in, or you're out. Out of the suffering, out of the ignorance, out of the darkness, out of the illusion, out of the anxiety. These are not healthy states of consciousness. The world today is producing unhealthy states of consciousness more and more every day. We keep surpassing our previous high marks in unhealthy states of consciousness. We keep surpassing it every day. We mix so many different things. So that needs to be stopped. And unfortunately, it's not on the portfolio of the leadership of the world to help us stop these things. So we have to search for it on our own. It's not being presented systematically as it should be. The Vedic culture, the Vedic system, which we find in the Vedas, is this transcendental secret knowledge was presented to everyone. From even before they take their birth. It's called Garbhadang Samskara. They're even being transcendentally prepared and purified even before they come into the womb. Because the soul lives before it comes into this body. The soul is all eternal. The soul has no beginning. So we, individual souls, we are eternally the same person, even though we have different dresses. Sometimes we're in the dress of a duck. When we're in the dress of a duck, we waddle and we quack. When we're in the dress of an elephant, we stride, big strides. When we're in the dress of a worm, we crawl on the earth. When we're in the dress of a demigod, we enjoy material pleasures. And when we're in a spiritual form, then we relish transcendental bliss in the spiritual world. So it's all a question of the dress we take, but we're the same person. We've always been the same person. It's like a child. when the child is in the womb as an embryo, it may not even look like a child. If you've seen scans of the embryo, pictures of the embryo, it doesn't look like even a human. You can't tell what it is. But it's the same person. When it comes out, it acts like a little baby, talks goo goo ga ga. And then later on it speaks in more intelligible words. Same person, all the time. In the old body, the young body, and then, depending on the consciousness, in the next body. Same person, now he's in the body of a bird and he's flying like a bird, he's tweeting like a bird. He's the same person. And if he becomes liberated from material existence, then he's free from all these encumberments and unhealthy coverings of consciousness. So that's the knowledge that we learn from Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita as it is so important to study. This is the real education that we should be giving our youth. From the very beginning, Komara Achare Pragyo Dharmam Bhagavataniha. Education begins at 5 years. Everyone knows that. But what are we teaching them at 5 years? How to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. But eat, sleep, mate, and defend, that's known to the lower species. They know how to eat. You don't need to go to college to learn how to eat. The little spiders come out, and as soon as they come out, they seem to know how to catch bugs in their little webs and how to suck the blood. They know how to eat. They know how to defend. Little bird, he gets out of the nest. After a few days, he knows. Fly up in the sky, and the predators can't get you. So eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is known to all the species. Why do we take credit for having big institutions to teach the same thing in a polished way? It's not required. You say, it's not required, that's revolutionary. We don't have to learn how to eat. No. Nature is so amazing that even when the child is born, the mother's milk is the right food for the child. It's all supplied by nature. But whose nature is it? It's Krishna's nature. So the real credit should go to Krishna. Sometimes we like to give credit to nature, maybe more than nature deserves. Nature certainly is wonderful, there's no doubt. Just like if you see a woman and she gives birth to a child, you say, that was wonderful, you gave birth to a child. That was extraordinary. You deserve all credit. She has to say, well, not all the credit. She has to admit that there is someone else involved in the birth of the child. That we've forgotten. We've forgotten who's that other person that's responsible for the wonderful things in nature. I have some prunes, and the prunes, they give credit to nature. They say, this is wonderful, nature, you did a great job on this one. That's true, nature deserves credit, but where'd the seed come from? So let's give some credit to Krishna also. But our society is very actively trying to forget about the Supreme Person in every field. Even in field of religion, we have no forms of God. Forms of God are outlawed. If you have a form of God, you can be killed. It's so outlawed. What to speak of science? You can't even mention the word. If you mention God in a scientific thesis, you could be in big trouble. So in every field, the Supreme Being, the Supreme Controller, the Supreme Friend of all living entities, the proprietor, the maintainer, the destroyer, everything is being completely removed. This is our civilization. And it's going on all over the world. So, first thing is we have to take care of ourselves. Because you can't bring about a revolution in consciousness unless you've evolved your own consciousness, unless you've come to the realization of what's what. Then you can be part of the solution. This Krishna consciousness movement is an active agent for delivering transcendental knowledge all over the world. A few nights ago we had a movie presentation here. You see the screen. Are we showing again sometime? We just haven't moved the screen yet.
We can.
Okay. Anyway, we showed a kind of a beautiful movie about the founder of the Krishna Consciousness movement, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the movement that he started and developed, and how it's grown and it's growing. That's something to be proud of. So we're not simply criticizing the world, we're appreciating also their willingness to hear from the right source. Because actually, when we receive this knowledge and we're ready to open our eyes, it's like seeing the sun. It's like a blind man who's never seen the sun. If by the grace of someone he's able to open his eyes and see the sun and all the light and all the colors. This is transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. When you have seen the light, when you've received this transcendental knowledge, then your knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. This is what we're needing in life. And this transcendental knowledge will make every relationship, every activity meaningful and satisfying. Without this transcendental knowledge, relationships and activities lack meaning and satisfaction. Someone may say, no, I studied ballet for so many years and I became an expert ballet dancer and I've enjoyed it many years. Yes, that's nice. But wouldn't you enjoy it more if you could go on dancing ballet forever? If you didn't have to give up your body and stop dancing? So we're saying yes, go on being a ballet dancer, but be a ballet dancer forever. And your audience will be Krishna, and you may even be able to dance with Krishna. Krishna likes dancing. He's the rasa dancer. Do you have any paintings here? Here's Krishna dancing here. There's many different. Krishna is the supreme dancer. So your perfection of dancing will be when you dance with Krishna. Your perfection of cooking will be when you cook for Krishna. Your perfection of eating will be when you eat Krishna's food. Krishna is the one that's missing in all of our zeros. Somebody's got 2 zeros, someone's got 8 zeros, someone's got 20 zeros, but they're all zero without the one. Krishna is the one that makes the number 100, 1,000, a million, a zillion. So you can turn your zeros into a big number by simply adding Krishna to that. That's the secret. Why are we trying to eliminate such a wonderful person as Krishna? People don't know who they're trying to eliminate. They haven't realized what a great personality this Krishna really is. He's not a cruel punisher of wrong people, wrongdoers. That's not his real nature. Although even a very kind and wonderful person may also agree that corrective measures may be required. That doesn't mean he's not a nice person. That doesn't mean he doesn't care, a loving person. But sometimes even a doctor who's expected to be a very compassionate person, he may have to give some harsh treatment to a patient to cure him. But in his heart, he's only thinking how I can help this person. So Krishna's making plans. He comes personally to this material world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadadmanam shrujamyaham. He comes to give transcendental knowledge, to save the living entities from this repeated cycle of birth and death and old age and disease. To let them get free from this. We have eternity to live. We're already eternal. It's not like we have to discover some special serum that will make us live forever. We're already eternal. That's guaranteed for every living entity. But eternally what? What are we going to be doing for eternity? Do we want to continue? Yes, I'm going to eternally be evolving and devolving. I'll be evolving from the lizards to the dogs and to the birds, and then I'll fall down again. I'll go through the different species. That's not intelligent. Think about it. Would you like to take the body of a snail? Who here would like to have the body of a snail? She's putting the things of a snail on her head. Yeah, that's the nice part, those little antennas, but the lifestyle is not very nice. The association is not very nice. The food, the cuisine is not very good for snails. Lifespan is very short. Intelligence level very low. Would you like to trade away your intelligence? Or would you like to get enlightened intelligence so you understand everything in its proper perspective? So we have a few minutes now. If there's any questions, we can discuss. Yes?
You mentioned earlier that education generally begins at the age of 5, but my question is there any efficacy for prenatal education?
Yes. Yeah, we were saying that. We hinted about it, that the Garbhadang Samskara begins the education at the time of conception. That's really prenatal. And how are they educated? By transcendental mantras. The Vedic culture is primarily cultivated through transcendental mantras, sound vibrations. All the different types, there's different types, but that's the primary Shabda Brahman. So there are examples of living entities in the wombs of their mothers, and their mothers were hearing recitation of transcendental vibrations, Srimad Bhagavatam, and they became self-realized souls within the womb. And sometimes they were so satisfied they didn't even want to come out. They thought, what will I do out there? I don't want to get entangled in this material world. I'm safer in here. One time, Vyasadeva himself, the compiler of the Vedas, his own son was one of those who became self-realized in the womb. And he wouldn't come out 16 years. So finally, Vyasadeva went to Lord Krishna in Dwarka. He said, my dear Lord Krishna, could you please come and have a few words with my son? So Krishna came to his, there's a nice painting of that. Krishna comes to his little hermitage and he's speaking to the child in the mother's womb, saying, Shukadev, you can come out. The boy says, I don't want to come out, I'm afraid I'll fall into Maya. Maya means illusion. Krishna said, no, I promise you, you won't fall into illusion. All right, I'll come out. So then he came out and he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes?
So from reading these books and understanding this philosophy, we understand that this material world is not our real home and is full of suffering. But what if we don't have that realization that this isn't a good place? Will this realization come as we practice Krishna consciousness?
Yes, it will come. Because you'll get a higher taste. Param drishtva nivartate. You'll realize that the superficial satisfaction of the senses is, first of all, it's not really satisfying, and second of all, it's satisfying something that is not me. I'm trying to get pleasure vicariously through something that is not me. So it's going to be very limited. Prabhupada gives an example that's, well, I'll tell it and you can decide what it is, but he said it's like two people trying to enjoy each other with all their clothes on. No, when they want to really enjoy, they take off their clothes. So similarly, if we have all these coverings, we're trying to satisfy our senses, we're not getting to the real person. So it's not as enjoyable. We're covered over with so many layers, false ego, this sense, that sense, the body, misconceptions. So we have to become free from this sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatvaratpena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. That's the answer to your question. That by Krishna seva, by engaging in Krishna consciousness, all these designations that we're trying to satisfy, they become cleared away. We realize, I'm not this body. What is the big deal about the pleasure of the senses? Rishabdev says, Nayam deho deho bhajam niloke kaman, that the pleasure of the senses is available for lower animals like dogs and hogs. So why am I making my whole life just to enjoy the same thing that's available to the lower animals? Right? We have to use intelligence. Humans have intelligence more than the animals. They can think like that. I've been trying to enjoy these senses for millions of lifetimes and I'm still frustrated. Why am I frustrated? Because I'm not this body, I'm spirit. I have to enjoy spiritual things. And that's what Bhakti Yoga is all about, teaching us how to enjoy spiritual things. Because we're spirit. So life should not be engaged in just how to enjoy our senses, but how to enjoy the spiritual nature that we are. Okay? Yes? Here?
Hare Krishna. I don't have as much of a coherent question, more an idea I wanted to bring to you and see what you think. It's about the blessing of the misery we experience once we understand that this world is Maya, and how we may be able to harness that blessing or recognize that blessing to not fall back into illusion. What do you think?
Yes. Because that's part of transcendental knowledge. Oh wait, hold on. Keep it for, we may need it. Because that's transcendental knowledge. When you learn the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then your knowledge will reveal everything to you. So then there'll be nothing hidden. There'll be nothing, no disease left. It's all finished. You won't, if you know how to avoid the disease, then you won't do that again. You've learned. So when you learn something well, you don't do it again. If you get your finger burned, you won't put it in the fire again. As a child you may have done that, but then you learn. So we're getting the burning finger experience. And we should become intelligent enough to not do it again. I don't want to go through this again. And if you really want to wake up, if you want to make sure you don't do it again, read the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Have you seen that 5th canto?
I haven't read the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, well that's a real good way to convince us not to do it again. We're fortunate, we've got the opportunity to get out of the suffering now in this human form of life. Let's take it. Don't delay, because you don't know when you'll get another opportunity. Things can change suddenly. Individually they can change, nationally, internationally, familial-wise, job-wise, monetarily, health-wise. There's so many changes. And that opportunity that we have right now, it may not, that window of opportunity may not be there. I was just speaking today with my godbrother, who first introduced me to Krishna consciousness. We were both students in Los Angeles, and he had joined the Hare Krishna movement unknown to me. And I saw him, I hadn't seen him for some time. And I looked at him, but I didn't recognize him because he looked different. So he called my name several times. And finally I went over and I said, "Are you calling my name?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Don't you recognize me?" And I looked again and I saw that it was a friend I knew. But I never would have recognized him. So that meeting was a turning point in my life. Meeting with him and learning about this transcendental knowledge. But I'm happy that I took that opportunity then and didn't delay and say, well, okay, I'll think about it for the future. But I took it seriously. So we should take this opportunity. It's the most important thing. The other things, you may think eating's more important. Eating is already arranged for every living entity. The elephants get their food, the fish get their food, the ants, millions of little insects, little germs, they all get their food. Who's providing the food? They don't have college degrees, but they're getting all the food they require. Food is already supplied. Nityo nityanam, chaitanas chaitananam, eko bahulam yo vididati kama. That means, that's a Sanskrit Vedic aphorism that means that living entities are eternal and Krishna is eternal. Living entities have consciousness and Krishna has consciousness. What's the difference? That the one maintains all the many living entities. We're all being maintained by that one. So we don't have to worry so much about how to get food, but we have to get transcendental knowledge. That should be our passion. We have so many other passions. passion for this, passion for that. What about passion for transcendental knowledge? What about passion for self-realization? That's where the passion should be directed. Okay. Your microphone's turned off. Try again.
Is there any way that the senses can be used in the service of Krishna?
Yes. That's the science of Bhakti Yoga, how to use the senses. Just like now, I'm using my sense of speech, you're using your sense of hearing and your sense of cognitive analysis. These are all the senses. The mind is the king of the senses. You're using your mind, you're using your intelligence, you're using your eyes. In a few moments, we'll be seeing the beautiful forms of Sri Sri Gaurnitai, incarnation of the Lord. We'll be hearing the chanting, we'll be using our bodies in dancing, and then after a few more minutes we'll have a nice feast. Our tongue will be utilized, our hands tasting this nice food. Stomach will, all these things. You can utilize all your senses. You can paint beautiful pictures of Krishna, you can build temples, you can grow food to offer to Krishna. How would you like to use your sense? You can even use your genitals for producing Krishna conscious children. If you say that's one sense I would like to use, okay, there's a way to use it. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, use it for producing high level consciousness children. That's the perfection of reproduction. Okay.
Maharaj, I have a small question. At the time of the battle of Mahabharata, Arjuna is all very confused, he is depressed and he is worried because he has to go fight his own brothers and relatives. Small question is, how about the other 4 Pandavas? Were they not confused and worried? Were they very focused to go and fight against their brothers and sisters?
Well, Yudhisthira also went through his different trials. Yudhisthira sometimes thought, what is the use of all this fighting? So he also needed some transcendental knowledge, even after the whole war was over. And now everyone said, okay, now you're the emperor. And he said, I don't want to be an emperor, I'm such a rascal. And nobody could convince him but Bhishma Dev, who was lying on the bed of arrows. So Bhishma Dev had to, and Bhishma Dev was about to leave his body, but his last duty given to him by Lord Krishna was, please explain to Yudhisthira Maharaj that he should become the emperor, that this was the pious thing to do, that he's not a bad guy for doing this. And he explained everything about the duties, about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then Yudhisthira understood, yes, okay, I'll do my duty. So yes, they also, Bhima didn't have any qualms. Bhima kept remembering the gambling match. That was his meditation. Therefore, he didn't have any questions about whether he should fight. Sometimes he had questions about whether he should stop fighting. Sometimes he was, sometimes he had to be told, better not to fight right now. So there were different. Arjuna was an important person because he was the key fighter. He had gone to the heavenly planets and gotten all the celestial weapons that were absolutely required for winning the battle. So, and Arjuna was especially put in that situation by Krishna because he was the perfect student and he could understand the perfect knowledge that was going to be coming in Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Danavir Goswami Maharaj ki jai.